$9 Mondays over at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. Get any best bet or daily package for only $9.
Welcome to Wager Talk Today on a Monday morning. It is a recap segment. We're going to talk. I'm messing the whole thing up right from the get-go, dude. You threw to me right before we opened. Prez apparently is having some technical difficulties. I'm going to do my best to hold the show down while we get him back. Of course, we're going to have Marco D'Angelo joining us today, breaking down Monday Night Football. We're going to do a little recap, bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. What happened this past weekend in betting action? Certainly no shortage of insanity to talk about from yesterday. Of course, as we do on Mondays, mid-major Matt's going to come in. He's going to break down, what's he going to break down? Monday Night Football props. Going to talk Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, and many more. And then, of course, Ralph Michaels will close out the show with his T&A trends and angles. The pen himself is going to help us. I apologize. I'm not going to be in the chat today. I don't even know what the promos are for today, but I do have Marco D'Angelo to bring in, hopefully right away. That way I won't be sitting here babbling indefinitely. So without further ado, as I try to shift things around to see if we got Marco in here, and we do. Marco, welcome to the program. That might have been the single worst opening in the history of Wager Talk Today.
No problem. Just call an audible, Teddy, at the line of scrimmage. You're a seasoned veteran. No problem. We can get this done. How was your Sunday?
I'm not worried in the slightest about getting it done. First, we get to throw away Prez's lead. Prez was like, the lead today is NFL kickers. I'm like, yeah, they missed a bunch of kicks yesterday. That happens in December. Now, we did have a bunch of kicks. I mean, it was a veritable plethora of missed kicks around the league, some of which had significant impacts in both sides and totals. But let me ask you this. Do you think the kicking this year is significantly off from where it's been in recent years? Or is this one of these deals? It's December. It's harder to make these kicks in weather. And we've seen kickers struggling even with extra points. Normally reliable kickers like, Dan Bailey, the sixth most accurate kicker in NFL history, who has now, 4 missed field goals and 3 missed extra points over the last couple of weeks. Is it random, or is there something to this string of missed kicks over the last couple of weeks, Marco?
It's been bad all year, Teddy. We've seen kicks left and right being missed. And as far as weather goes, of course, there's going to be games when we get to those cold weather cities, if we get rain, if we get wind. But that wasn't the case in Tampa yesterday. There's no excuse for Bailey. I thought that there was a good shot that he would have been released last week. We don't use this word in the industry anymore, but I'll use it for this one. I think it's pretty certain it'll be a lock. There'll be a different kicker kicking field goals for Minnesota next week. That's for sure. And, the one thing that was strange yesterday, and I'm sure you'll get to it, but you talk about kicks. There were a couple big kicks late in games where coaches did the numbers game when they were down 2 scores and went for the field goal first. And they had direct impacts on both outcomes of those games. And I was the beneficiary of one of them. Thank you, Detroit Lions. I think that's maybe the only time in my life that I could actually say the Detroit Lions actually did not let me down. I had to send our buddy Johnny Detroit a text after that one.
Sure. I got one from Brian Flores yesterday that made me very, very happy. Although in the Miami situation, that was clearly the right thing to do. The Dolphins had 20 seconds left. They just got that. They had completed a pass down to the 25 or 28 yard line or something. And that was the right thing to do. For Detroit, I was a little bit more surprised with it, but nonetheless, Brian Flores will get a Christmas card from the Savransky household this year. Let's talk Monday Night Football. Really, I mean, there's no reason to dawdle around on a Monday when there is a ton to talk about. We have obviously one big game tonight. There's also college hoops action for this evening as well. But the focus for today's show is largely Monday Night Football. So let's get right into it. Let's get the current numbers right now from the Wager Talk live odds screen. We're seeing Baltimore -3 with juice at a lot of spots. -3, -120, -3, -115. Other places it's just a 3, -110 either way. But it is Ravens -3. Total pretty much sitting at 46 right now. There are a handful of 45.5s out there, Marco. And certainly when we talk about point differential, all right, we have a Browns team at 9-3 that has a worse point differential than the 4-win Atlanta Falcons. The markets have certainly noted that. There is not respect for Cleveland in the marketplace yet. Do we see it tonight? Do we see it after tonight? What's your breakdown of the Browns and the Ravens?
Well, Teddy, that's a great segue to me talking about, the point differential and where the spread's at. When I first saw this number, Teddy, I looked at it and said, they're making Baltimore the full field goal on the road. And as you've seen, we're starting to see some, push to this, getting juiced to possibly getting to 3.5. I don't think it gets to 3.5 because it's been on this number all week, and the books just don't want to open themselves up to getting a push and a loss, if this game lands 3. So this is a spot where if it continues to go the way it goes, we'll see the juice continue to come in on the Baltimore side. And you look at this, and Teddy, we talk about ebb and flows of a football season. You always got to be careful when you look at season-long numbers because they can be misleading. And look at the case in point with these two teams tonight. Baltimore's lost 4 of their last 6 games. Cleveland's won 4 in a row in 5 of their last 6 games. So you think all of the momentum in the world is going for Cleveland, and that's why I was a little surprised that they made them the full field goal on the number here for a primetime game. You got a home dog. We know about divisional home dogs. They generally perform better. We've talked numerous times about Monday Night Football, and the home dog is not what it used to be, but we have seen several cases this year where the home dog has gotten the money this year. But as I dig deeper, I look at this Cleveland winning streak, and they've beaten Houston, Philadelphia, Jacksonville, and then Tennessee. Well, let's talk about those first 3 wins. Those 3 teams, Houston, Philly, and Jacksonville, have a combined wins of 9 between them. 9 wins on the entire season. Now, the Tennessee win last week, yeah, that was a great win for them. But I can tell you last week, Teddy, I was all over Cleveland because the spot was horrible for Tennessee. I thought Tennessee would be flat. They were. They came out, found themselves down big in the first half. They had 3 or 4 turnovers early in that game, and Cleveland was off to the races. But I'll tell you what, if that game was 5 minutes longer last week, Cleveland looked like one of my horses in the stretch, looking for the finish line. They barely got there. And like I said, if the finish line would have been a little bit further out, they wouldn't have. Tennessee was coming back on them. I just don't trust the schedule that Cleveland has beaten. Now we look at the other side of that coin and look at Baltimore. Their 4 losses, you look at the teams that Baltimore has lost to, they lost to Pittsburgh twice in that 6-game stretch. Pittsburgh's an 11-win team. They lost to Tennessee, a 9-win team, and they lost to New England. That was the worst loss in there, but still, New England's got 6 wins. And that game, if you remember, was played in a driving rainstorm. Speaking of driving rainstorms, when we look at the stats on these two teams, Cleveland's got a couple things that you put asterisks by. They had a month without Nick Chubb. So you could throw out all their offensive numbers when Nick Chubb's not in the lineup because he is the whole Cleveland Browns. It's not Baker Mayfield. It's Nick Chubb. They go as far as Chubb takes him, and he has been a beast when he's been healthy, and he's been healthy the last month, and you've seen the numbers they've put up. There's also the asterisk on Cleveland that 3 of their home games this year were played in miserable weather conditions, which brings down their numbers. They played 2 of them in driving rainstorms and 1 in a windstorm. And, those are going to affect your numbers. You can't move the football as effectively, obviously, in that, but it also then is going to benefit your defensive numbers because the other team can't as well. So you've got all kinds of, different things to look at in this one. Where are you going to go with it? Well, for me, I'm going to go ahead and go to Baltimore. And I think Baltimore went into a little bit of a slide, Teddy, when they lost to the Steelers that first time, because they dominated that game. That was the big game for them to get back in the division race. They needed that win, and they took it to Pittsburgh. They had Pittsburgh on the ropes in the first half, but Lamar Jackson, 4 turnovers in that game. Baltimore was plus 200 yards in that game and ended up losing the game. And the game ended with them inside the 5-yard line, looking to pull out the win, and Steelers made a stop on 4th down. This is a spot where they just didn't recover off of that. We talked so many times about teams going into funks after a big game loss, and I think that's what happened to them during this slide. And then throw in, they lose basically an entire week with the COVID situation. They kept moving their schedule around left and right. I think this is a spot for Baltimore to get back in the playoff race. They need this game more than Cleveland does. Cleveland's in good shape as far as the wild card goes. Baltimore, this is a game, I hate to use that phrase, but it is a must win. So although I have not released a play on this game, I am leaning to the Baltimore Ravens in this one. And I'm sure you'll have some things to dissect or debate with me on this one.
Well, that's the fun of this. Look, if we all bet the same side and all had the same opinion for every game, there'd be no betting. There'd be no betting marketplace because no one would take the other side of any of the right sides here. So there's always a discussion, a debate back and forth as to what the best way, what the appropriate way is, how do we view the same data, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, this is what we do on Wager Talk Today every single week. If you like the show, and we hope you do, please give us a thumbs up. Give us a pound on that like button. And of course, if you're in the chat, again, I apologize today. I'm not in the chat at all, but we do appreciate any comments that you can leave post-show. Really helps us with the YouTube algorithms. And honestly, I mean, the show's free. It's always going to be free. Our commercial breaks are 20 seconds long. The one thing we ask is that when you participate, just give us a thumbs up, give us a little comment, and it helps us a ton. And if you want, you can tell your friends. Now, let me rip apart Marco's argument for the Ravens. I'm not going to rip apart. There's one question that I have, because you were talking about Cleveland, about Baltimore's wins. All right, their losses, I should say. They've lost only to quality foes. All right, Cleveland's a 9-win team. When we look at Baltimore's wins this year, they beat the Browns on opening day. That was Stefanski's first day as head coach. They had new systems on both sides of the football with no preseason and a COVID training camp. Yeah, that one, to me, I'm going to chalk that as an asterisk for the Browns as well. Since that time, this is who Baltimore has beaten. All right, they blew them out on opening day. They blew out the Browns. Since that time, they've beaten the Houston Texans, Washington early with Dwayne Haskins at QB, Cincinnati, Philadelphia. They had the one win at Indy, the game where they were out-yarded by a pretty substantial margin. And there was, a fumble return touchdown in that game that turned it. The one quality win at Indy. And then they beat the Cowboys. All right. So I'm seeing one team with the winning record since they beat Cleveland on opening day. That's Indy. So if you want to rip the Browns schedule, you want to talk about the Ravens wins, it's not like Baltimore has been beating good teams at any stretch this season. What's your take on that rebuttal, Mr. D'Angelo?
Well, it tells me that I think maybe the AFC North might be a little bit overrated when we get to playoff time. A lot of people have said when Pittsburgh was 11-0 that they were the worst 11-0 football team that they've ever seen. We saw now they've lost 2 games in a row. It's just who they've matched up against. They've drawn the teams that you get to play that NFC East schedule. That's going to take down everybody's strength of schedule. There's no question about that. I don't see either team that has been good in that regard. If you want to talk about defensive stats, you look at it, Baltimore has the better defense of the 2 teams here. And the key is going to be if Baltimore can stop the running game. This is one of those ones this is why I haven't got to the window yet, Teddy, because I can shoot holes in both teams. But here's one thing that I will throw back to you, and I can't argue what you just said. let me say to you, has Baker Mayfield been in the big game yet where he has shown that he can win? He's played much better this year, and that's helped with the running game. I've always said it. You have a running game, it's going to make an average quarterback good and a good quarterback great. But he doesn't have those signature wins yet on his resume. Not saying Lamar Jackson has been, but Lamar Jackson at least did navigate his team to a 14-2 record last year during the regular season, and then they choked in the first game of the playoffs. So neither one's, we can really tab as a big game quarterback yet. But I just think that Baltimore has played in more big games in recent bias than Cleveland has.
No question. I mean, the Ravens have been a playoff team in recent years, and the Browns are hoping to end not the longest playoff drought in the NFL. Are they the longest, or is it the Lions?
No, the Lions, I think. Yeah, the Lions have been for the Lions only have one playoff win in their forever. So they got
franchise history. Yeah. I remember, and they got wiped. They were favorites in the next game and got absolutely wiped out by the Dallas Cowboys. One more question about this, and this is about injuries. All right, because we've had Baltimore dealing with COVID absences. We have a bunch of guys, and in my mind, impact players for the Ravens who are in the game time decision category. We got Calais is a question mark. Jimmy Smith is a question mark. Matthew Judon is a question mark. I'm seeing a bunch of guys for that Baltimore defense, both with injuries and with either COVID testing or training, that are still, well, we'll find out between now and kickoff type of a deal. Are you worried at all about the potential, and it's much bigger on the defense side of the football for the Ravens, for the potential absences on defense tonight if Baltimore comes in and these guys, or a handful of these guys, can't suit up?
Well, that's also a reason why I haven't gotten to the window yet, trying to see when these lineups come out. And that's 2020 handicapping now, Teddy, that we have to deal with this stuff. But given the fact that we are starting to see that push, we talked about it's getting juiced on the 3, that tells me that some people that maybe, have some inklings of what's going to happen might know a little something and heading that way. If the report comes out and all the players that you mentioned, or the majority of them, do play, let me ask you, do you think we see that half point? I still don't think we see it go the extra half just because of it being a key number. If it was 2.5 and 3, going to 3, maybe. But coming off the 3, man, this late in the week on game day, I just don't see it happening.
So there was I'm not going to call it a flood, but there was significant support for the Ravens in the betting marketplace yesterday. And that line moved basically from, a flat 3. You didn't know if you're going to go up or down to 3 minus 20. There were 3 minus 25s last night when I went to bed. And I'm like, well, let's see, it might be 3.5 in the morning. I got up in the morning and it kind of drifted back the other way towards Cleveland. So I don't think that Baltimore is going to get to 3.5 in this game. There's a difference in juice between one sportsbook and the next. You say, oh, it's no big deal. I'll lay 120 instead of laying 110 or 108. It adds up. That's all I'm going to say is that it adds up. And the ability to have that's the beauty of legalized sports betting around the country in 2020 is that you have the ability to line shop. And if you have a choice between laying 3 minus 20 and laying 3 minus 10, or taking 3 even money, taking 3 minus 10, short term, I'm not going to make a huge difference. Over the course of a season, you'd be shocked at the amount those little 10 cents here and 10 cents there will make to your bottom line. Agree or disagree, Marco?
Oh, I agree 100%. Now you have no reason not to shop. Teddy, you've been in Vegas longer than I have, but even when I first got here, I was running from book to book to do that shopping. We didn't have the phone apps yet. Now, you can basically sit on the couch, in whatever attire you want to be sitting in, and make all of your wagers across town. You get to see all of those numbers. And yes, it does add up. Teddy, I will give you one last question. And you said we saw a push yesterday. How much of an impact do you think we all talk about Circa in their big contest, the $1 million contest and everything, and all of the contests around town, they post the plays so everybody can see what everybody had. And everybody knows who are the top leaders. I can tell you that Baltimore was a very popular play with the guys that are leading the contest. You didn't see many Cleveland Browns. Do you think that has any impact where some of the average guys look and see who the contest leaders have, and that might sway them as far as a direction in a game?
No, I wouldn't. When you talk about the global NFL betting marketplace, any one person, any 10 people, any predictive, oh, these guys are winning, so we're going to follow them, minimal impact. Really does. It's a global marketplace. Maybe in Vegas, it might affect it a little bit. Maybe the circuit might affect it a little bit, but around the country, not so much. Marco, it looks like we're going to have Prez back for the next segment, so I'm going to let you go. I want to ask you anything you want to promote before we leave you here and potentially have me going solo the rest of the show when Prez freezes up again.
Well, I'm always on speed dial if you need me, sir. And I've got a play up for Saturday, one of the championship games. I got a total dominator play, and it's Monday, Teddy. $9 Monday. You can get that play right now. Midnight, it'll go back to $25. And I've been on a nice run in the month of December so far, guys. We're hitting 67% on the month, and college basketball has been insane. I've been very selective, but we're 8-2 in the month of December with college hoops. And I haven't worked the card yet, but I may have a college basketball play as well today.
Excellent results and good content from Marco D'Angelo. Marco, thank you so much for filling in for Mr. Prez, at least for the first segment. We appreciate your time. Good luck tonight. We'll be right back. Lawrence joining us. And we've got Mid-Major Matt breaking down NFL props and much, much more right here on Wager Talk Today.
Marco D'Angelo is coming off a 4-0 NFL Sunday. The highlight was Marco's 5% NFL high roller play on the Rams. For this season, Marco's 5% NFL plays are hitting around 70%, and his NFL is on a 11-3 run. You will get all of Marco's plays on Sunday, highlighted by his 5% NFL game of the month. Get the special package for just $39. Just go to Marco's homepage at WagerTalk.com. Side note, Marco will be adding plays to this package right through Sunday.
Yeah, hey, Teddy, great job with Marco. I was able to listen to most of it, but I had like a cyber attack into my house. The entire network shut down, so my apologies. Outstanding work. Good stuff, dude. Why are you laughing?
That was not outstanding. I'll take. We got through the segment. It's fine. I'm glad you're the host and I'm the analyst, dude. We're co-hosts, but I like coming in and out of the breaks. That's your business, man. You do that so much better than I do. I'll give you credit, Lawrence. Cheers.
Well, I appreciate that. Although you guys got 120 likes. I think that's the most likes we've ever had at this point in the show. And I hit the thumbs up button myself, Teddy. I mean, the only thing is you went a little long, but on a whole, outstanding work. Anyway, let's get to it, dude. I'm excited to hear your bad beat segment. So much to talk about, college football and NFL. So I'll shut up and hand it to you, and then you and I will talk a little bit about what did we learn in the NFL, but we don't have much time because you and Marco just didn't shut up. Go, my friend.
Me and Marco didn't shut up because I didn't think you were going to be back on. I didn't think we were going to have that segment. So we're probably going to skip that segment for today. Let's do a little bad beat, bad bets, and bad for the books. Got to start on what happened Saturday in college football. All right, you guys saw the Ball State band on the field. That was something. They beat Western Michigan by 3. Of course, the line in that game went from Ball -2 to Western -2. Had the Broncos, that final touchdown on the 17 lateral play, had that counted, it would have been a point spread difference maker. Ended up being a good result for the house. Bad result for bettors. Let's see what else we have on Saturday worth noting. Army and Navy under for the 15th consecutive time, and no sweat at all in that one. Let's see. Florida minus 23 loses outright to LSU. The kid throws a shoe. And note, LSU with the COVID outbreak. Oh, they're not going to have enough players. They win the game outright as 23-point dogs. Oh, Minnesota's not going to have enough players. Oh, they barely have enough players. Nebraska gets steamed up to minus 10. They lose outright to Minnesota. You had USC throwing the touchdown pass into the end zone instead of bleeding the clock and kicking the field goal. That covers minus 3.5 for the Trojans. That was an insane ending to the evening and certainly a bad result for the books. And let's not forget the Penn State-Michigan State game where Michigan State led throughout. Then Penn State rallies. They get their last score on a punt return touchdown to beat Sparty by 15. That line, plus 14.5, plus 15, plus 15.5 all week. Where you bet it, when you bet it, determined whether you won or lost between Penn State and Michigan State. Then, of course, we had the NFL for Sunday. Woo-hoo-hoo. You want to talk some bad beats? I don't even know where to start with this one. Let's start with the one that made Prez the most craziest of all. How did that Eagles game sneak over? All right. Philly's running out the clock. All right. They need a touchdown to lose. They're running out the clock. All they want to do is get a first down, take a knee. Instead, they hand the ball off, fumble, and the Saints steal one final score. That was just brutal if you had the under in the Philly-New Orleans game. The Chiefs and the Dolphins, KC, that was some point spread drama. Believe me, I had a big play on Miami, and that game made me crazy. And KC, of course, gets stopped in field goal range with just enough time. They got to kick the field goal to go up 9. And then Miami down the field, Tua drives him down, kick the field goal back with 20 seconds left. They never kicked the field goal there, as we were referencing at the top of the show. They did yesterday. 30-10 lead for the Chiefs, no good. Kansas City now, last 5 wins, 0 covers. How about Texans Bears? The under 46, that's another bad beat on the over. It was 37 at halftime. All right. Watson gets hurt by the goal line. A.J. McCarron's 4th down play was about as ugly as I've ever seen a 4th down play look for Houston. Only 2 field goals in the second half after 37 points at halftime. Game stays under. We've had a couple of those in recent weeks. That was tough. Let's see. Should we talk about the Vikings and the over in that game? Vikings plus 6.5. They lost by 12. Dan Bailey missed 3 field goals and an extra point. That was 10 of the 12 points the Vikings lost by. The difference between covering and not covering for Minnesota. And, of course, the Packers minus 8. They're up 10. The Lions with the backup quarterback drive down the field, kick the field goal, and win by only 7 for Green Bay. That's certainly not a good result for Packers bettors. Tough beat for those who like Green Bay. When you talk about bad bets, a good handful yesterday. There was a lot of Carolina Panthers money. Broncos looked good yesterday. Wire-to-wire win in Carolina. When Drew Lock doesn't turn the ball over, all of a sudden, Denver's a decent team. There was lots of Saints money. The pros like Saints. The Joes like Saints. Boy, they were flat as a pancake. And we're going to hear all this about how great Jalen Hurts was. Jalen Hurts was pretty good yesterday, but that was more about the Saints being flat than anything else. Philly, wire-to-wire on that one. That bad bets on the Saints. And, of course, that Bills-Steelers total got bet up from 46.5 to 49. Should have asked Ralph. I'm not going to say never had a chance, but it really never had a chance after that slow start offensively for both teams in Buffalo last night. Bills get the win. Under gets the money. All that over money, no good. We talk about bad for the books. What do we have? Let's see. The Titans blew out the Jaguars. There wasn't a whole lot of Jacksonville money yesterday. The wise guys love the Cardinals versus the Giants. That ended up being a good result for bettors and a pretty lousy result for the books. Then again, the books did get some back. They were betting the over in that game with Daniel Jones back for the G-men. Over never had a chance. Giants offense didn't work yesterday. And, of course, one more bad for the books. Nobody bet the Jets. The wise guys have been betting the Jets on a regular basis. Not yesterday. And that was a good decision for bettors. Bad news for books. Seahawks bet up to minus 16.5. They won that game 40-3. There you have it. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. Prez, why don't you join me on this show over the second half at least? We'll see if we can help people get some good info. Maybe you can say some nice things to the folks in the chat that I couldn't. Cheers.
Screw you, Teddy.
There you go.
Man, listen, I mean, I was on a few of those beats. As you know, the Vikings over I had. And that under in New Orleans. Somebody asked me in the chat room, how many TVs did you break? I broke none. It was I'm a divorced man. I live with Vivian, and the kids come 7 days on, 7 days off. So yesterday we had 4 kids in the house. I had to remain calm. I can't set an example of breaking television sets. So I was able to get through it. But yeah, man, that under in the New Orleans game, my God. Anyway, I won my 5% play last night on Buffalo. As I've been winning, I've had a terrible NFL season, and yet I keep winning my 5% plays week after week. I won my 5% play on Saturday with Virginia Tech. So just strange. Anyway, want to welcome everyone into the chat room. Gordon, Lauren. Lauren, we missed you. We love having you around. Reclaim, Opla, Sebastian, Carlos Gonzalez, Nate, Davey, Tuck, Jimmy, all of you guys. Really, really, really appreciate you guys being with us. And as Teddy so eloquently said, please hit that thumbs up button and make sure to make a quick comment when the show is archived. Teddy, we got mid-major Matt joining us. Look, normally we would talk about what happened in the NFL this week, but we're going to go straight to Matt. We've got some props for tonight's show, and excited to have him. Matt Joseph from sportsmemo.com. You here?
I'm here, Prez.
Oh, my, Matt, that is a big, big face. Try to zoom in a little closer, if you will. Okay, well, Matt.
Try and zoom.
Matt's coming back. Teddy, that prop that Andy gave out on Friday, the Kelsey prop, he was so. You know what? When guys, listen, this is important. When guests come on, look, they're going to give 3 bets for where you're going to get actionable information. But if you listen to the intonation of their voice, you knew that Kelsey prop was one that he really loved. I ended betting it. It was a great prop. Lauren pointed it out in the chat room. Hopefully Matt will have one of those where, listen carefully, guys. He's going to give out 3 props. I guarantee you he'll be most excited about one of them. Matt Joseph, how did you do this weekend?
Had another winning college football Saturday, only 2 losing Saturdays all college football season, so that's been awesome. And yesterday was not as good. Did not catch the breaks that I needed on the props. So I'm essentially going to give out my $9 Monday 3 props that I would have given out to the clients anyway because I was so bad yesterday. So these are the 3 plays that I actually will be using tonight.
Okay, well, why don't we start with the first one? Happens to be in the Cleveland-Baltimore game. I hand it back to you, Matt.
I'm going with Baker Mayfield, the longest completion tonight, under 35.5 yards. The Ravens have allowed passes of 36-plus yards just 6 times this season. 7 games that number has not hit. The longest completion for the Browns in week 1 when these 2 teams played, 28 yards to David Njoku. And I actually went over this. The Browns have had 6 passes this year of 36 yards or more. 2 of those came from Odell Beckham. He's not playing. 2 others came from Shadarick Hodge. He's not playing. Donovan Peoples-Jones had the one last week against Tennessee that was really long, and I don't expect him to do that again. And once again, weather could be a factor here. Could be a little bit of rain, could be some wind. So under 35.5 yards for the longest completion for Baker Mayfield today.
So if we're looking at Mayfield under, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's not going to throw a lot of passes. It means you don't expect him to throw a lot of deep balls. So when you don't expect a lot of deep balls completed, sometimes you may think we're going to get more receptions than you might because possessions are going to last longer. Who are you targeting for over receptions on the Cleveland Browns?
Well, I mean, it's Jarvis Landry. I mean, the last 2 games, it's really hard, as you were talking about with Marco in that first segment. You know, the Browns have had so many win games and weather games that it's hard to kind of take their offensive stats. So we'll throw out those games. But in 2 games in pristine weather without Odell Beckham, Landry's seen 21 targets and 16 receptions. He had 5 catches against these Ravens back in week 1 for 61 yards. And last year, he had 7 catches and 8 catches against these Ravens, essentially with the same secondary they have. Landry is that outlet guy for the Browns. So to me, a lot of short passes go to Jarvis Landry. We're looking over 4.5 receptions for the slot receiver for the Browns tonight.
I like that. I like that bet a lot. Matt, what do you got? Anything from Baltimore perspective?
Yeah, the security blanket is back for Lamar Jackson. Mark Andrews had the break with the COVID issues, and it's a shame because the 2 previous games before that, he had 12 receptions. The Browns have allowed 69 receptions to the tight end position, which is the second most in the league. His last 3 games against Cleveland, he's had 5 catches, 6 catches, and 4 catches. So we'll take Mark Andrews to go over the 3.5 here. It's the guy that Lamar Jackson trusts the most out of anybody. And once again, short passes could be what's the doctor's order tonight. So we'll take over 3.5 for Mark Andrews.
Awesome stuff, Matt. Guys, you can hear Matt on the NFL presidential address every Wednesday with Ralph Michaels and myself, 4 p.m. Eastern. And just to let everybody know, had you have listened to the NFL presidential address, Matt, you called Philadelphia with an outright win. Nicely done.
It's the Jalen Hurts bump. I've got my Jalen Hurts jersey already coming in the mail. I think that the Eagles are going to play better with him under center.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, Teddy.
I was just going to ask, so which of the 3 props, I was listening to his voice very closely, which of the 3 props did he like the most?
Jarvis over the total.
Was it? I couldn't tell.
No, actually, it's the Baker Mayfield longest completion one. I think that we're going to see a lot of short passes tonight in the weather.
You know what, Teddy? Maybe it was which one I liked the best because I don't like I bet a lot of props. And I don't like that prop for 2 reasons. Firstly, he could actually throw a 40-yard bomb, and we did see that last week. It's not like he hasn't done it. And secondly, Jarvis Landry, the guy he's going to throw to, could break a run. So for me, listening to Matt's analysis, I felt like the over 4.5 for Jarvis Landry had a little bit more oomph, if you will. But I will say this. Mark Andrews plus 1,000 for the first touchdown. I'd sprinkle a teeny bit on that because I agree with you.
No. You're allowed to look. I can give any.
Oh God, I hope that
the first touchdown prop is the worst prop out there. There's no more juiced prop, and no serious bettor that I know ever bets that. Literally ever, unless they find a live 40-1 shot.
Teddy, you put $5 down. What the hell, man?
All right,
it's Monday night.
We're trying to give people positive expectation betting advice. When you're giving them a prop that cannot be beaten, okay, you can't beat that first touchdown prop. Can't do it.
Of course.
That to me is bad advice. $5, fine. $5 is $5. Take the $5, go buy yourself a Big Mac.
Well, had you not have interrupted so rudely, I would have said it's just a fun nothing prop. I throw $5. I literally throw $5 on those props every now and again. Why not? And anyway, so Matt, your favorite prop is Baker Mayfield under the total.
Correct. Under 35.5 of the yards for his longest completion.
Okay. Well, Teddy, you must feel better now. You got a chance to argue with me. Let's take a quick break. Ralph Michaels, the pen coming up right after this message.
Have you ever checked out the expert handicappers at Sports Memo? If not, here's your chance. Right now, you can get as many handicappers as you want for the next 7 days for only $7 each per day. Even better, if you're a first-time customer, we'll credit you back $25 in wager bucks after you make your purchase. All you have to do to redeem this limited time offer is go to sportsmemo.com, choose your handicapper of your choice, use coupon code SM49 at checkout, and repeat as many times as you want until Monday Night Football kicks off.
Guys, quick reminder, it's $9 Monday. Anybody's plays that are up today, even if the game goes next Sunday or Saturday, $9 at both Sports Memo and WagerTalk. I'm in play in the game tonight. Teddy, you got anything up for $9 Monday?
I do. I'm in play on the game tonight as well, Prez.
Oh, I'm going to take a peek to see if we're against each other while Ralph speaks. Ralph Michaels! How are you, my friend? What's going on? How did you do this weekend?
I had an uneven week, up, down, up, down. Finished a couple games on the plus side, but lost some games I needed to win. I do want to make one correction, Prez, on your player prop. When you set 1,000 to 1, it's listed as 1,000 to 1. That's $100 bet. So really it's 100 to 1. So I don't want any new people out here thinking, where can I get 1,000 to 1? I can bet $1 and I'm getting 1,000 back. Those first player props go from 5 to 1 to 100 to 1 based on how they put it in the site.
Fair enough, Ralph.
Sure. He says it's a 10 to 1 prop. It's not even 100 to 1 prop. It's 10 to 1.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
plus 1,000.
the most you're ever going to get for those first players is in that range. All right, guys. So this is more not an angle of the day, just information. And it's something we've talked about on the show numerous times. We've talked about how the weather turns in December, how grass games especially go under the total. Well, in this crazy high-scoring 2020 NFL season, that we saw overs hit to a clip of 62.1% the first 4 weeks. They have now gone under the total 62.7% the last 5 weeks. Joe, do you have that chart, that first chart? Look at these week by week unders, guys. For the season now, year to date, we have more unders than overs. So make sure your perception has changed. Week 10, 38.5% over. Week 11, 42.9. Week 12, 37.5. Week 13, 37.5. And week 14, 31.2. Now, here's where there's value. Look to the right. The average totals are still 47.5 and higher. Vegas has not adjusted. They're still getting equal money. So this is where you find the value. We're seeing a clear undertrend. We're seeing teams now learning how to stop these offenses. We're seeing weather and wind take effect. There's still going to be, I think, another week or two value with the unders in the NFL.
That's an incredible chart, Ralph. And the thing I love about it is the whole narrative over the first month, 6 weeks of the season was high-scoring NFL, oh my God, the offenses. And yet there's been no mainstream narrative at all, not even in the betting marketplace, about how the markets have caught up, and now we have the overcorrection part of the equation, where it's been literally 5 straight weeks where you bet every under. You've cashed it at a better than 60% clip. It's important information. It's good information. It's well presented. Kudos to you, Ralph Michaels, for making sure that our viewers and listeners are attuned to the current nuances of that NFL betting marketplace.
Yeah, I mean, talk about actionable info. Ralph, that chart is amazing. Are you gonna tweet it out?
I just did, in fact. So it's out there, and
perfect.
Again, Vegas's job isn't to put the number where the money is, guys. Vegas's job is to put where they're going to get equal money on both sides. So there are times you still find value. All right, Teddy, I'm going to make you put your thinking cap on. Sorry I'm doing this to you Monday morning. But here's my thought process when I wanted to look this up. College football, getting to 6-6 is an absolutely freaking huge deal. Potential to go to a bowl game, non-losing season, it means everything. So to translate that to the NFL, I wanted to look at teams in game 14 and 15 with how many wins they have for the season. Joe's going to put up a chart. You're going to see there's 2 sides to this chart. The left side is as a dog. The right side is as a favorite. And you see the charts aren't even. Why? Because the top category over to the right as a favorite, if you look to the right, it's 0 wins. There's no team that has had 0 wins as a dog, and then likewise. So teams with 6, 7, and 8 wins only in game 14 and 15. When you're a dog, look at those red marks. I was thinking that number would be higher. They're fighting to get to 500. They're 1 game under 500. They have 8 wins. They want to keep 500. But look to the right. When you are a favorite and you have 6, 7, or 8 wins going into game number 14 and 15, You're 57.8% with 6 wins. 7 or 8, you're just above the Mendoza line. I'm not done analyzing this chart. I don't know if I'm going to take anything out of it. But your gut reaction on very short notice, thinking about NFL teams that perhaps can get to 500, is that a motivation for them? And does this chart teach you anything because of that?
So it's a fascinating chart, and there's a ton of info on there, and it's going to take me a little bit to process some of it. The concept to me, however, makes sense that when you have teams, and I don't know that 500 is ever a motivator in the NFL. In fact, if you look in week 17 at teams that are 7 and 8 straight up for the season, it's actually a negative subset because those teams aren't going to make the postseason. But this may be, we'll call it a corollary of the bubble burst theory, whereas once a team loses that 7th game or loses that 8th game and knows that, yeah, guess what? We're not making the playoffs. And then you put that team as an underdog against somebody good, and you see that differential there. And you see the negative subset on the left-hand side of that column. So that's the first thing that popped into my head when you brought that up, Ralph. But yeah, it's a ton of info, and you kind of got to wrap your head around it a little bit. But it feels like it's kind of that bubble burst corollary a little bit. Would you agree?
Yeah, and guys, I'm going to dive more in, and if I find some specifics, we'll bring them up the rest of this week. So, again, it's just another way I want people to start looking at games, looking at records, looking at situations that you and I may think of, Teddy, that they may not. Like I said, fact, in college football, when you are 5 and 6 and you are playing it, it's an important 6th game. And the best trend I've ever shared with any people ever is if you blindly bet 6 and 6 bowl teams, you are hitting over 74% because those 6 and 6 teams are so motivated to get a win with a winning season in the next year. Again, we're going to put that one back in the coffers till next season because this season is so bizarre. And Friends of Ralph play. God, I'm going to one of my best friends, the Gold Sheet. If you guys have been in the closet and don't know that the Gold Sheet is now part of the WagerTalk media family under the umbrella for a second year, the college ups have been incredible. The differences they've added to the plays. I will tweet this, guys. So if you want to read this write-up, look at the new Gold Sheet and how they present their games. Just go to @CalSportsLV on Twitter. I will tweet this after the show. You can read the entire write-up. But their play for tonight in college hoops. Under the total, Northern Arizona and Colorado State. That's, again, from the Friends of Ralph play and the Gold Sheet.
Ralph Michaels, awesome stuff, man. Thanks so much, guys. A huge shout out to Marco for stepping in and Teddy for handling the main hosting at the beginning of the show. Look, Teddy, we've done what? Maybe 50 shows already, probably over 50 shows. First one we had issues with, and it really affected me. I mean, I'm getting notes on my computer saying you're being attacked. All I want to do is get off the show and go and change passwords, especially with my online banking. My mind just was not on the show. So apologies to everyone. Thank you all for watching. Ralph Michaels, you are the best. Teddy, Matt, Marco, Ralph, thank you guys. Joe Ranieri, thanks as well. Teddy, tomorrow, Steve Merrill and Dave Sharapan, and of course, Ralph Michaels. Please take us home.
Absolutely. So first, the total Ralph was talking about, Northern Arizona, Colorado State is sitting at 146 right now. If you want to get involved with that Friends of Ralph play for tonight. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to hang out with us right here on WagerTalk Today. Technical difficulties aside, enjoy the games. Good luck. We'll be back again in 23 hours right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel.
Every Monday is $9 Mondays over at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. Get any best bet or daily package for only $9.